Nice. It's a pleasure meeting you. I'm meeting the president of the Southeastern Hunters Association. I am Anslem Richards, the president of the Tobago Sport Hunters Association. It's a registered hunting association in Tobago. At the last count, we had a membership of 150 hunters from across the island. Alright, our hunting method is basically traditional. We are not our hunting expeditions are not powered by fire, the caging or the putting them in the hole or holding them down. So in that we treat that as a more sustainable way of hunting, you know, because sometimes the game get away from the dogs, and sometimes the dog had the better of the hunting day. You know, with the firearm, it's a more lethal engagement, right? And so we are proud to have that. Our hunting tradition is based on what we call bragging rights. So you will hear across the island hunters saying who has the best Oti dog, who has the best tattoo dog, who has the best all-round dog. Then you may have a little competition between the persons who are claiming that they have the best. You know, so that is really the sport and the camaraderie in the thing here. So the hunting in Tobago is not so much for commercial gains, right? Although they are members of the association who really do that during the hunting season. But basically here it's a sporting activity for most of the hunters, right? What the association has noted is that we have had an over-harvesting of the iguana population in Tobago. We have had conversation with the Division of Agriculture and Forestry to see how we can work together to give some rebirth and resuscitation to the iguana population. And we had endorsed the decision of the minister to close the season in December as opposed to the end of February, an earlier closing season, just as a conservation and protection strategy. Right? We also explore with them the option of even importing, quarantining and then releasing them in certain key habitats to rebuild the iguana population, because what has happened in the last, let me see, 5 to 10 years is that we have changed our hunting methods of the iguana from the slingshot to the pellet guns, and that has had a devastating impact on the population because it is a more lethal and a more accurate form of hunting these iguanas. And you know, and we have seen the reduction in the iguana population as a result of that directly. You know, I have done the research and I have linked it directly to that, because we have seen over the years where those hunters, when they were using the slingshot, they were coming back with 2 or 3. And these hunters now who are using the pellet gun, especially those who put scopes on them, coming back with 15 and 16 and 20 iguana from one outing. So that has had a very impactful impact on the iguana population. So we are looking at ways to work with the authorities to see how we can stabilize that, pump some new energy into the population growth by even importing iguanas from countries that have overpopulation and are calling their iguanas. So we're looking at those methods, right? The agouti population in Tobago is healthy. You know, what we have seen is that they are coming out from the forest area now because our farmers are no longer farming deep in the forest. They are farming closer to the community, so the animals are coming closer out because they are looking for feed. Right? We also have, from indication, there's a healthy armadillo, the tattoo population in Tobago. The sizes of the armadillo in Tobago are not as large as those in Trinidad. Okay. Right? We have what we call probably the 9 or the 7 ring breed. Yeah, 7 band. We call them ring, on the back, right? Right. So you will have one might go to the maximum of 10 pounds, but the average size and extreme weight will be about 7 to 6 pounds each. That range, 6 to 8 pounds. Right. So we have that. So we have that, a healthy population, right? We don't have We have good conversation that we have had there in Tobago, but since in my hunting time, we have not seen it.
Well, one of my stories about the deer population, that's why I wanted to talk to you seriously. It how animals live in certain parts of the certain other parts of the country.
Right.
They never was. People in Tobago, people have been saying, hunters hunt them out. If we look at Tobago, in the past, about the past 40 years, I could track that nobody never see a deer. And the only deer that is actually here is where they bring in.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
They bring in a deer and have it as a pet.
And
And after when they die. But that's about it.
Right.
So I want to feel that the deer population in Tobago was never in Tobago.
Well,
I mean, we don't want to hear thing about just like by the way or hearsay in terms of it exists. If it don't exist, it don't exist, because you know why I'm bringing this point to you? In Trinidad, I am also doing some research on the Bible. There are certain places in Trinidad that White Hawk never lived. Never lived. Right? I go back 100 years. They never was there in the forest.
Right.
But there are certain forests that they are known for, and they never move on to the other areas.
Right.
So I am looking at the same thing with the deer population. If the red bucket is only one deer, the red bucket deer, and it lives in Trinidad, right? But they live in other Caribbean islands.
Right.
But that's the only deer that is in Trinidad. And that deer is absent in Tobago.
Yeah, well, I have not seen any being caught or even sighted in any hunting expedition in my lifetime, right? And I heard farmers and hunters, age hunters have said at one time it hadn't Tobago, right? I know some hunters would have brought some from Trinidad, had them in captivity, released them. They are wrong. I know there were one up in Argyle there, where a guy released and it was being seen around. I don't know what is the status of it now. Right, but what we can probably do is probably, and that will require the support of the authorities, the Division of Agriculture, and designating that area a protected zone or something. If we can probably bring 2 pairs and release them in an area, probably an area identified probably from you who are hunter, know what kind of habitat they will survive in, and probably do an experiment to see how they will survive and if they will breed and so forth. That will be a nice piece of research to do.
Yes.
Right? Even if it's a male and a female, you know, you can choose a area. When you search the forested areas, you will see this area look like an area similar to where they are found in Trinidad, and you may have the type of feed and water courses and so forth that will give them sustainability. So
that you're saying is a very brilliant idea, but I will tell you one of the things. The deer population also has a territory. And that territory, they move with the moon. Right? Now, I am wondering, your size of your island, if it is capable of maintaining the deer in its natural habitat, or that deer is going to cross people, areas in the movement of its and people, and none of that will kill a deer.
Yeah.
Once you see a deer, you kill that.
Yeah.
So the question is whether you should try to encourage that in Tobago, knowing that we're small here.
Yeah, we don't have the habitat.
And we don't have the habitat.
Yeah.
Other than just bringing it in and saying, well, we won't habitat, we have to be able to understand that the deer moves very much a mile, 2 miles out there, the habitat is very wide. So while you might bring this and say, well, this is the small area, but bigger things there. As you like go to the here, I'll knock it down here, right? So it is going to be very difficult to do. But one of the things that I want to talk to you about as a hunter is let us try to, the animals we are accustomed to, the animals we know that are living. You know that here we're bringing into the society becoming bigger, and we're encroaching on the forest, and we're pushing the animals smaller into smaller areas. Let us concentrate on the animals we have and the environment that they have, and try to ensure that the environment stays in certain area, even despite the housing and the school and the
Right. So that has been one of our program with the authorities, that we want to preserve the population of game species that we have, and harvest them in a sustainable way, so that the next generation of hunters and Tobagonians will have sighting of these animals and be afforded the same opportunity to engage in sports hunting 20, 50 years from now. So we talk about responsible hunting, which means that we do hunt when the season is closed, when the animals are breeding. We also work with the authorities to protect and enhance the habitat where they live, in terms of ensuring that there are adequate food and water sources for them to survive. That kind of thing is the kind of conversation we have been having with the Division of Agriculture and Forestry, all towards promoting exactly what you're saying. How do we sustain the game species we have that are natural and endemic to the environment and the island?
They have to be generating the cells, because we use the land too. That is the most important thing.
Exactly.
You see, man is like a wildlife animal.
Well,
I mean, we just tell ourselves we live in an offices and we organize a little bit. But we organize, we still using food. We still using food for if we don't get no food, we just go on. And the same thing the animal need. We want food and place to sleep. The animal want food and place to sleep. And the place to sleep is the habitat. That is the whole thing. So, and then we have to be able to start to use some energy in trying to guard it, because we have the ability. And we see now, we have these big massive bulldozers and all things, we flatten this area and flatten The question is, when we flatten an area, we must study wild animals live there.
Well, what we have to do we have to have a kind of symbiotic relationship with all the parties concerned. Yes, we have to expand for human endeavors, but we also must not do that at the risk of the natural environment, or displacing in any significant way the habitat for the wildlife. Right? So it has to be a balance, striking a balance, a delicate balance between conservation, development, and human growth and development. Right? So that is the kind of balance we have to do, because all three persons are demanding the same space for survival, for growth, and for regeneration, and that will require us to have that kind of conversation across the stakeholder groups, to ensure that at the end of the day, the decisions that we come up with are impactful for all parties, in terms of the need for regeneration and expansion.
I do encourage them to do. The country is, as we say, we're pushing wildlife in this small area. We have to start to consider, like Tobago, let's consider Tobago a park. All the areas that you see don't have houses, let it be green spaces.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. Tobago, the northeast of Tobago, that is from, let me say, Roxborough back to Castara, has just been accredited by the UNESCO and the United Nations, the Man on the Biosphere designation. And that provides, that classification requires to treat with that area, just in the manner that you are saying, that there are certain things that you can't do, there are certain development that you shouldn't do, right, in terms of protecting, it's from the forest to the reef. So that is protected in terms of the kind of development activities that can take there, what could be done, what can be done. All aim at promoting sustainability, the environment, climate, and in response to climate change, right? Because Tobago is by large islands, coastal community. Take there, what could be done, what can be done. All aim at promoting sustainability, the environment, climate, and in response to climate change, right? Because Tobago is by large islands, coastal community, promoting sustainability, the environment, climate and in response to climate change, right?
Yes.
Because you know Tobago is by large islands, coastal community. Most of our community are along the coastline, and if we are not careful as to how we interact with the environment in the context of climate change, you have sea level rises, your coastal assets will be destroyed and all of that, including your communities and your people. So the man and the biosphere designation imposes upon us a certain level of responsibility to treat with those kind of concerns that you are raising in terms of how we protect the habitat, how we expand villages and so forth to preserve the natural habitat for
one of the things we recognize when we're talking about climate change in Trinidad, we have observed this already. Fruits are bearing throughout the year. I don't know if you've experienced it. You have small fruits, you have flowering fruits, and you have big fruits flowering.
But it no mango season again.
Right true.
Coconut
So
very true.
that I think is a direct response of climate change. That is responsible also what we see in the last month in February. We found a lot of young animals in the forest. Now we're hearing some others talking about this is time to close the season in February because the season is animal. It is because of climate change.
So the breeding
pattern change. And the wild animals always pregnant too. You could get a wild animal in October pregnant. You know. So people have to understand, they have to understand how wildlife lives. And if we see that all these young animals breeding, and we see these young ones, a lot of them, I experienced in February. I know that the forest system is very active.
And
very active.
And that those kinds of information should be used to how we make adjustments to policy and decisions. So if we are seeing more young animals early up in the hunting season, it means therefore we have to close the season January to protect those young animals, because remember we want those young animals to become adults, to be part of the game population for the next season that starts in October. But if you catch them at small and they're destroyed, you're losing game for the next season.
But so, one of the things, is that the same point you're making there? That is what I am telling you, that I feel that them is mistreated. When you start to see, if you want a buoyant forest, you want a very effective forest that is generating money, you see in young animals, there is a response, a result of some management strategy, some plant, because I was telling you earlier that we plant trees for 5 years. So that could be one of the response. The animals have a lot of feed and they are healthy and they are producing. But if you close it, you don't have to close the season during the period of time. You have to educate the hunter. Do not kill this. Because if you look, we have seen a lot of the young animals in the hole. The dog will meet them in the hole because that's where they hide. The first thing they go is in the little hole. But what the man do, so and you put the torchlight in there and you see a little animal, leave that. Leave that. So those are the things we have to do. Try to educate our hunters that you are going to meet these little animals
and you can't
harvest them. Not that if you see a bandit and you even shift the season, you're going to go into the next part of a season that they're going to be birthing again. Right? So it's very
a very delicate situation.
It's a very delicate situation. But one of the things I like, I talk to you, I like you to, well, I know you would be a spokesman for Tobago.
Yes.
Because you're somewhere like us. The issue is that what I'm talking about, create Tobago as a park, and we accent to the same thing in Trinidad. Create Trinidad as a park. The moment you see an empty space, if you're not using the land now, let it be free. Birds, bees, and butterflies all form our wildlife. And the butterfly, the birds, the bees that are going to pollinate the flower, that is the same flower that will provide people. So we want tree the tree must be bearing that the animal, the little animal can live on it, any animal can live on it. Right? So when we as hunters, we must not only be promoting the animals we hunt, because all the animals are tied in.
Yeah.
Right?
Because it's the whole ecosystem that provides for the animal that you're hunting. So you can't just concentrate on your part of it.
No.
But you have to look at this as an ecosystem where all the component parts are important and contributing to what you're interested in. So that's the thing. So
it was nice, boy.
yeah, it was nice. Thanks for coming. We'll continue the conversation. Anytime you're in Tobago, you have my number. So you can touch base. We'll certainly, before the season opens backwards in October, we are going to tighten the relationship between the association so we can share benefits, do exchange program, and ensure that our members are up to speed with the regulation, the laws, and their own responsibility in their game hunting exercises.
But the only thing I want you to do is to get on our email thing.
Yeah, I'll do that.
And we will, I think once you like it once, all will come to you.
Right, so I'll do that and then we'll establish a social media connection.
We want tree the tree must be bearing that the animal, the little animal can live on it, any animal can live on it, right? So when we as hunters, we must not only be promoting the animals we hunt, because all the animals are tied in, right?
Because it's the whole ecosystem that provides for the animal that you're hunting. So you can't just concentrate on your part of it.
No.
But you have to look at this as an ecosystem where all the component parts are important and contributing to what you're interested in. So that's the thing. So
it was nice, boy.
Yeah, it was nice. Thanks for coming. We'll continue the conversation. Anytime you're in Tobago, you have my number. So you can touch base. We'll certainly, before the season opens backwards in October, we are going to tighten the relationship between the association so we can share benefits, do exchange program, and ensure that our members are up to speed with the regulation, the laws, and their own responsibility in their game hunting exercises.
But the only thing I want you to do is to get on our email thing.
Yeah, I'll do that.
And we will, I think once you like it once, all will come to you.
Right, so I'll do that and then we'll establish a social media contact. Right? So, love in the house. Good.